I mean, I'm planning on doing kind of like a build on of the snowman using the vertex map, and I just want to see like how I can come up with that using the volume measure with the vertex map and see what fun stuff we can create. But yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, I think for me, I was going to do something that touches on our visual effects pipeline. And, there's a great motion tracker in Cinema, so I was going to use that. There's some simulation with soft bodies and everything. I was going to focus on that as well with a little compositing and stuff like that. So yeah, I was going to show off a little bit of our workflow through this Snowman build.
That sounds amazing.
And then Hashi, what are you going to do?
I don't entirely know yet.
Well, then that means those in the comments, those out there in the comments, drop some suggestions on what Hashi should do.
Absolutely. Let's see. There's an echo on the stream. It says someone. I don't remember how long ago. I can double check if.
It might be. I'm not sure. Maybe it's me. But
either way, let us know in the chat down there if the sound improves or if you still hear an echo or anything like that. But yeah, I'm just going to play with the pieces, try to come up with something. I had the thought just a moment ago of like a snowman and a snowblower. I don't know entirely to what capacity, like if it's a snowman shoveling the driveway.
Someone suggested Jack Frost, which can be interpreted either as the Michael Keaton version or the Clint Howard. Wait, not Clint Howard. I'm getting that confused with Ice Cream Man. But you know what I'm talking about. The horror version or the Michael Keaton version. Yes. Well, actually, the Michael Keaton version technically is the George Clooney version because the model was made to look like George Clooney, and then he dropped out of the movie and Michael Keaton came in. That's why Jack Frost looks like George Clooney.
But there's another version of Jack Frost that I also like from a DreamWorks movie, voiced by an actor with the most holiday-ish name, Chris Pine. So unfortunately,
we don't Chris Pine played Jack Frost in something and I don't remember it. This is silly. We have perception here. Let's talk to Christian or Vivian. Who wants to go first? Show their screen. Talk through what you guys are going to do.
I guess I can share kind of what's going on here. So I filmed some footage that I was going to bring in and do like a motion tracker thing on. And it's let's see here. It's a scene from something that I shot in New York. And let me bring it in here. So here it is right here. So there's a good amount of scaffolding in the foreground. We have these buildings in New York City buildings. And so I thought what I could do is create this sort of parade float out of the snowman and have him floating down the street and maybe bumping into the building here, stuff like that. So I was going to get Cinema 4D to kind of track this footage for me and do a simulation on the snowman.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I love that idea.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. I like that.
And Ian, what are you going to be up to today?
Oh, we have no idea, but I already saw like a Krampus snowman call out, and we'll see what kind of wishes come true these days.
Okay, then. Well, here's what I'm thinking. I think we can work on this even when our screens are not on screen. So like we can just get to work and kind of chime in when we have something interesting, and we'll check in with people as they're working. Like Vivian, I see you've got the kit kind of set up here on your screen. You want to talk through kind of what your plan is and what you're doing?
Yeah, of course. So I started with the kit that I just downloaded, and I'm kind of selecting the pieces that I want to build my snowman, and I'm just like scaling and put them together and seeing like I'm gonna put this hat and see what type of animation I can do. I separated these two pieces of the scarf because I plan on kind of adding a simple cloth simulation, just to add like a subtle detail to it at the end. And yeah, I just started like playing with this kitbash and putting my snowman together.
Oh my gosh, I love that everyone is doing simulations for this. I am just slowly putting together some of the pieces. I kind of like to insert your Cole smile in a kind of Jack Skellington angle. It was the same thing that I used for the promo material. I kind of like it feeling like these weird teeth or something like that. So I think I'm going to start somewhere like this with the Cole in here and trying to figure out how much I'm ripping off specifically that look.
I think that's awesome. That is awesome.
Christian, can you talk through using the camera tracker on yours? I'm really curious how that's coming along.
Yeah. So it looks like it got a track already. We've got 468 frames of this footage. I've got these foreground elements, and it looks like these foreground elements didn't even need to be masked out at all. It got a pretty solid track, just right out of the bat there, or right off the bat. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and take these nulls and find this building in Z space. And one way that I do that is just grab them here and then select the top null and just kind of drag it up so I can see all the other ones that I need. And here they are.
And I do that too.
Yeah. So I just hit Alt to get to that null right there, and then so it should be in that spot. And there it is. I'll go ahead and do the lines on here, and I'm just gonna like manually line it up here to find this where this building would be.
I like that.
Now, there's a way to do this with the planar stuff that I've already forgotten. We taught it on the show, Hush, and I've already forgotten it.
We did. It's in one of the tracker views, or rather,
we're not going to even try to teach it here. We're just basically acknowledging that something exists.
Something exists. You can select several track points, and then I think that there's a way that you can add a tag to the camera tracking system that refers to those multiple points, and you can define an X or a Y or a Z. I relearn it every single time I do it, so it's in that category for me.
So
that's working pretty well, though.
It's working really well. Yeah. Sometimes the ones that I've selected over here, you can go to like a top view and see where those are, and like just to see if my so basically this line right here would be like the front line of the building. So, you know, I would try to line up my cube to kind of reflect that and where that would be. But also with these kind of scenes, sometimes it is a little bit like manually lining it up and finding it what makes the most sense. And this seems like it's on there. It's like pretty tight. So great. Now what I need to do is just like find these other buildings over here, so that I'm thinking the snowman would come from back here and like come up and maybe hit this building a little bit with some soft body dynamics. And we'll
This is great. It's a great view of it too, because it's like that's a great angle to get it from, because you get to obscure it and it's not like a perfect shot of it. It's like a, you know, from the ground.
Having the foreground items is nice too, because it
Yeah.
helps ground you in there a little bit, just from a VFX standpoint.
Vivian, how are things going with you?
I'm doing good. I'm going to start building a matrix. And
The matrix.
The matrix. You can use it for a bunch of stuff. For now, I'm going to use it to kind of like, I'm going to cover my snowman with like a bunch of those like little cubes, and then I'm going to do that with a noise animation to kind of come up with the build on animation for the snowman. So I can kind of, since I'm just starting doing that, I can just do it with you guys. So I just need to do something like this that will cover the whole snowman, like that. I want to remove that. So I'm going to create a volume builder. I'm going to drag in my snowman that I just built. And then this is what we're going to get. Now I want to use my matrix in here and use it as intersect. And then this way, I'm going to be able to create an animation on my matrix, and that will be kind of like strict to the shape of my snowman, which is so helpful. But first I need to go in my matrix and add a plane effector. And I want to start with, if I put on scale and do -1, then I can have a spherical field at the bottom of it. And let me turn off my volume builder and bring back on my matrix just to show you a little bit better of what I'm doing. So in my matrix, in my plane effector, I did the spherical field, and that's kind of like trigger on my animation. So I will keyframe the position of my spherical field here, and then in my plane effector, I'm gonna add a freeze, put it under the spherical field, and that will kind of have that spot kind of grow. And all I have to do is set my spherical field to max, and then my freeze to grow. And if I play that, hopefully it's gonna grow.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. It's growing like the opposite way, so to fix that, I just go in here in parameter in my plane effector, and I click on remap, and then this way it's going from the bottom to the top, which is what I want. And now, since this looks not good, the shader field, when I add it, it will kind of add like a noise pattern to it.
Ooh.
And the interesting thing that I recently found out is that if you add your shader field instead of this radius of the freeze, it's kind of like only on the part that you want, which is what you just set up. And if I adjust my noise settings, it will look way better. I want to see the animation speed, and then if I change this stuff, then it's going to start to like kind of have some shape to it. And what I'm going to do is go back to my volume builder, and then when I press use particle size, it kind of like does what I want, which is like it matches up with my matrix.
Nice.
So however my matrix is here, it's going to match up with in my volume builder. And now all I have to do is put it on 7 so that I just didn't want to see those big circles. And another thing that I like to do is add my matrix with SDF smooth, which just kind of you get rid of all of these circles that you currently have, and this way we're gonna get
nice.
Smooth. But while we're working on this, I'm just gonna show how it is right now. But while we're working on this, I want
Whoa!
Look at that.
Look at that matrix snowman. That's nuts.
I know, it's like fairly simple, and I didn't even change my settings too much of my of my shader field, and I want to make my noise look better and make this kind of pattern here look a little bit better. Right now it's very chunky, so this is like the most of it of what I'm gonna do. And after that, I can also, once I get to it, I can explain how I'm going to use a vertex map to kind of create. What I want to do is have it start building with like a water material, and as it grows, I want the outside of my snowman to kind of turn into my snow material as if it's freezing out. And so I want to start with the water, and then as it grows, it's going to become my snowman, basically.
Oh my gosh.
But
That's
yeah,
so
that's
cool.
what I have so far. I'm gonna keep working on it and see what else I can do here.
Oh my gosh, that's the kind of thing I could just watch on loop.
Matrix
So cool.
Snowman.
Ian,
From the abyss.
The Matrix Snowman, that's right.
it's like the abyss thing, but like in colder climates, it just becomes a snowman.
And yeah, the abyss alien didn't think about snow.
Ian, meanwhile, you got Raiders of the Lost Ark going on with the snowman.
Yep.
Oh, not anymore. You did. Now you have Midsummer Snowman.
I have Midsummer Snowman. Yep. So thinking about the shapes of Krampus and thinking about, what he's wearing and all the look at. So just kind of blocked out really quickly with a brush the basic shape of the snowman that I'm looking for. And now what I'm doing is actually building his coat. So I want to start with the hood, and I'm starting with really basic shapes.
Look at those sleeves, though. The sleeves are good.
That was just a sphere. I just wanted to start with some basic shapes because, again, I'm in the kind of concepting phase of everything, and I just want to kind of get a look and feel of how this is going to be. So I'm not committing to anything in particular. I know what it looks like in my head, so it's a little bit more about trusting the process at the moment.
Real quick, Ian, we had Patrick Forde on our show last Friday, and I had said the same thing to him. I can't handle watching sculptors work because it's so impressive. Like it blows my mind the speed at which you take a primitive shape and just turn it into a freaking snowman hood or into a hamburger in Patrick's case. That's like I can't do anything that fast, much less that fast and well. It's incredibly fun to watch always.
Yeah, our brains are chaotic. I'll sometimes throw a bunch of things at the wall and just see what sticks. That's kind of how that's how I test my spaghetti. That's how I'm testing my sculpts. If it sticks, it's good.
You really shouldn't test your spaghetti that way because I'm sure that you can't eat it after you
can't get your deposit back after that.
Oh, okay. That's
spaghetti
good.
Deposit.
That's good to know. But
Christian, it's been a while. So keep going, Ian.
Sorry.
Just cut you off.
Last final thought is I'm also trying to figure out in this build, because Krampus is mostly in like a Santa robe, how much of the actual snowman I want to show. So that is going through my head as well.
Very cool. I love that you pulled that scarf down like a tongue, essentially, like
big old Odie tongue.
Oh yeah,
just making it work. Christian, what's going on over there with you?
Let's see here. I'm just getting my snowman ready to bring it to the other scene. I was able to line up these buildings here on this side pretty well. And so I have to prep the snowman to do the simulation on it. I want to make sure that that I have for the geometry things aren't like intersecting.
They're simplified, essentially, the meshes. Question for you. You may have already said this, but are you going to put in stand-in geometry for the buildings? Or are you going to, I guess, I don't know if you need that for the sim to react with, or if you're going to use it for obscuration or anything?
Yeah, one thing I was going to do here, I'm going to do the face of the building here, and it's got a collider tag on it. And then when I go to render it, these will actually have I could just go ahead and put it on there, but it's going to have this mat on there, so it just picks up the shadow.
Nice.
And so when I go to do the compositing of it, it'll look like, I'll just get the shadow on the building from the snowman coming down the street.
Yeah.
So
it's exactly what I was hoping you'd say. It makes me feel smart because that's what I assumed you would do.
But right now, I mean, so what I'm doing right now is adding this bool objects into the scene that will union on everything in here so far, and that way I can prep it for the simulation. So everything now is unions in here on the inside. If I turn this off, you could see all the mesh that's happening.
Yeah.
So when I hit that and it's all union, it's all connected here. I think this could be really good for the mesh of the simulation. One thing I'm doing right here on this coal, you see, this is like really high poly. So on the eyes, I went ahead and added like this really cool remesh object here, which is one of my favorite features from ZBrush. So if I turn that off, you can see how dense these eyes are right now.
Yeah.
And so I'll end up adding like a subdivision to it later after the simulation's over. So for right now, I could just make these have like a lower poly area. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on like the nose and the smile and stuff like that.
I love it. Hashi, what are you doing?
I'm over here. I took the pieces from the Snowman kit and I've kind of positioned them kind of like it's a little
like a creep.
Like a creep. Right now, I'm grabbed a quick loop selection from the hat because I'm going to try to shrink the brim to a little bit narrower, but also then expand it out a little bit. So first, I'm just grabbing the soft selection based on this loop, and I'm just going to try to maybe a little bit bigger there. Just want to flatten out this brim a little bit like that. And then I'm going to use my loop selection again to select a handful of edge points here. And then if my soft selection is still enabled here, I'm going to turn that up so it moves inward just a little bit. And then I'm going to stretch that out. Whew. Yeah, just so I have play a little bit more with this shape. Whoops. Maybe I just want to make it longer and a little wider like that. So yeah, just doing some, I figure out how to position this hat. I might like it a little bit smaller even. So it's just a goofy little.
I forgot, are we modeling this off of a Jack Frost or?
You know what it is? It does actually look a little bit like the Keaton Frost.
No, it looks like the horror one. The Keaton Frost has a button, like a little piece of coal.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, and it looks like Clooney.
I never actually saw this movie.
Oh, well, then we're going to pause the stream right now. Guys, we're going to watch Jack Frost starring Michael Keaton, in which he plays the lead singer of a blues band who absolutely has to go and do a show on Christmas Day, I think, and then crashes and dies and comes back as a snowman. And a character earnestly says, in all legitimacy, to another child, "Snow Dad is better than no dad." Now, speaking of snow, dad, snows, whatever, I can't segue. Vivian, how's it going over there?
It's good. I'm currently finishing up my cache on my volume builder, and it's going to be done in like a couple minutes, and then I can also show how I cached it, which will make it way smoother for me to keep working on my animation from now on. But just seeing your snowman, I just made me look at mine, and I went like with the cuter route, way more than you did. But I like yours too. It's cool.
Instead of creeper snowman.
Yeah, it's way creeper, but
it's the gropey hands that make him creepy. It's that he's like reaching. Like, what are you reaching for?
There we are.
Like, why are you? Like, no one reaches like that if they're don't have nefarious purposes. Like, or they're blind.
Right, but okay, my cache is done. I can show.
Ooh,
So basically, if I play now, I just like smoothed it out a bit more, and I worked on my shader of my noise, so it looks a bit more refined. And
cool.
Here I can show inside of my volume builder. If I uncheck this, it's gonna be editable again. But with this checked on, I'm able to cache my scene out and then just have a smoother play when working. What I did was in here, I pressed this button that creates a cache layer, and it kind of comes on this list as the red icon. And all that I had to do is press the animation button and set my frames, which I wanted to go up to 120 frames, and then play cache. When I press the button cache, then it just like does a quick load bar, and then once it's done, this layer becomes this one here, which has the green icon, and then from now on I can just press play, and then it's a bit smoother when I play inside of Cinema 4D. But I can also show what my next step would be here. What I would do after here, it's use the vertex tag, the vertex map tag, and what I want to do is utilize my original Snowman mesh. So the one that I imported inside of my volume builder is the one that I want to import inside of my vertex map tag, and then this way it just automatically gives me this. Yeah, it's like so cool because with no effort at all, it just kind of creates this this vertex map that follows my animation and gives me just the inside versus the outside. And I'm gonna use this to separate my materials, where I'm gonna have the red color be a water material and the outside be my snow material. But before that, I want to duplicate this vertex map tag, and if I delete this, what I like to do as well is if I import my first vertex tag inside of here, then if I add a curve on top, if I really crush the curve here, something like this, I'm gonna get just the edge of my animation, and that one I'm gonna use as well inside of my material. Yeah, I'm gonna add that just like as a small detail inside of the material I'm gonna build, just to create this emissive blue hot edge that kind of follows the growth of the volume builder.
That's so cool. That's something that I do in 2D a lot, is like a handful of, matted, like a mat and an inverted mat to try to like leave behind that leading edge. But that I've not seen it in 3D. That's so cool.
Yeah, in the past I've done I've duplicated my vertex map and kind of like subtracted one from the other with an offset or something. But I just found out about if you add the curve and then you crunch the levels, you can kind of just get the edge there pretty quickly without having to create two separate animations and just having an extra step added to the process. But I could also go in and show how I would create this material as well.
Yes.
We already have the snow material from the asset that we got. So I'm using the same snow material that we all have. And then what I want to do is create a new material in here, and then also a material blender. And I want to connect my first material to the color of the base material and my snow material into the material color of layer 1. and then connect this to my output. Now in here, I'm just gonna do a quick and dirty water material from the presets, and then now
we are new to Redshift just in general, like including this. I struggled for like 2 hours to make this shader, so
right, that does the job. But if I add the vertex attribute, this is what I want to tag into my blend color in my material blender. And let's see how this is going to render out since I have no lights in the scene.
Real quick, Vivian, comment is asking, Lisa Sari is asking, Vivian, how long did it take you to learn Cinema 4D to the level you are now? It's inspiring.
Oh, thank you. I think it's been like maybe 3.5 years that I've been doing it. I started like really diving into it once I joined Perception, which has been like the same amount of time basically. And yeah, just like 3.5 years ever since that was when I graduated, and I've been working on Cinema 4D ever since. And that's how, like, but I don't know like a lot, so it's nice that we have a bunch of like resources out there that we can, anything that we want to learn, we can just go ahead and find whatever you want and kind of build from there. And that's what always helps me to keep learning and keep like knowing new things, and that's basically it for me.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Real quick, I have an update on something we were discussing. Where is my? Oh, here we go. So just in case no one knew, this is what Jack Frost looked like in the Michael Keaton edition of Jack Frost. Just needed to make sure our viewers were aware that this snowman looks like George Clooney because George Clooney backed out of the project at the last second. But Snowman is better than Snow Clooney is better than no Clooney. So we're grateful for that. Hashi, how are you doing? No, wait. Who's due for a check-in? Ian's due for a check-in. What's going on with you? Whoa!
Well, still blacking out a little bit, playing with the different shapes, trying to get the basic assets in there. Wanted to see where his face was at. And of course, the horns are very, very Krampus, very, very specific. So I wanted to make sure that I got that. Also, I took the nose asset, and this is pretty cool. I took the nose asset here, and I'm just going to back it up for a second. So here, I'm actually using a deformer for this. So I'll go all the way back in time here. So I just drew the nose out, and I wanted his nose to be a little bit more, again, like kind of crooked and just not just a simple freaking carrot. So here just came into the deformer by turning on the actual gizmo, hitting bend curve, and then here just start reshape it.
I'm hearing an echo there.
Yeah, I was too. I'm not sure what happened.
It's twice the fun of me. So I got something that looked a little bit like this. And again, it's still about finding the character right now, because this is a cool mashup. I'm actually digging this. And also, I put a little bit of a temporary cloak around him, and I wanted to see if I can play with still seeing the outline of the snowman. One of the big things that I always preach when it comes to character design is the silhouette. It kind of needs to look like the thing you're going for. And mashups are cool because you could break the rules a little bit, but you still want to have kind of the feel of like what this could be. So I'm trying to honor the silhouette of the snowman so it looks a little bit like a snowman, but then surprise, it's a Krampus.
Well, speaking of mashups, Ian, how would you feel? I'm just going to throw it out there. You don't have to do it.
Sure.
But how would you feel about making Krampus into a Klumpus? Essentially, you could just replace the face. That's all I'm asking. You don't have to answer now. Just think about it.
Okay, I'll give it some thoughts and things.
Christian, tell me about how things are going on your end.
They're going good. So I got the snowman in the scene right now. Basically,
that's so good.
What? Oh my gosh!
He's gonna be floating down he's gonna be floating down the road here. I'm gonna inflate him a little bit and drag him along a path so that he kind of bumps into this building over here. So I've gone ahead and attached this soft body tag to him, and I turned it off while I set up this spline that will actually drag him. So I can kind of show you how I'm going to do that. There's a let's see here.
Whoa, like with like it's dynamically gonna. Oh my god.
Yeah. So jeez. I'm gonna go in here to the simulation and make this a rope, and then for the spline here, and then I'm gonna do a rope belt, and that would drag onto this cube object, which is actually on the spline. And then let's see here. So I'm going to set it on there. So now it's attached to that on that side. Let me see here. You got to select the point and then set it. And then the other side will be holding on to the snowman. So then on this side, I was going to do a connector. And let's see here. I think the search radius probably needs to be, let's see where it's at. But the search radius is pretty close to where the snowman's at. I'm going to turn this back on so that the connector object can find it. I'll turn that search radius up a little bit, and then I'll hit create. So it's kind of, you could see it's grabbed onto that snowman right here.
Oh, that's great.
So I don't know what's going to happen right now. It should drag it, but I still haven't done any more settings on here. But let me see where we're at as far as, I'll just cache this and see what's going on so far. Hopefully it just pulls it. Cache scene right here. So it'll start to pull the snowman a little bit.
Oh, look at that.
And he'll hit against the side. So there's definitely a lot of refining that needs to happen. But let's see here. So yeah. It looks like I got to slow it down quite a bit. I'm like pulling it pretty hard here.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah, it looks like that thing's like got loose is what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think what I'm going to do now is actually make this a thicker geometry on here. So when he slams into the other side of the building, it actually hits that other side and will slide off. So if I clear the cache on the scene and then slow this down quite a bit, this is the spline object that's pulling him. I'll just like slow this down quite a bit, stretch it way out, see what happens now.
Now, did you, when you were doing your 3D track and everything like that, do you consult units or anything like that for scale, or you go by feel, like visually?
Yeah, it's all about just getting like a tight track on it, and so typically I'll just get like a tight track and then start working on it. Things usually come in at scale when it does the track. So so far I haven't had any problems with it. Let's see where this is at.
Oh, I love it. Oh, look at that scarf.
Let's slow it down a little bit. A little bit too much, but we'll have to bring it back in like that. And then cache that scene again. One thing about the soft body is I turn off the draw feature on it so that I can see.
Oh, yeah, it gets a little.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. You can see it starting to hit that side of the building a little bit. The other cool thing that I like to do is on this balloon tab, I just turn that on and maybe set this to like 1.1 or something. And and that kind of like adds a little like inflating thing to it, which is nice. Let's see here. So like this spline, I'll make this spline come up so that he actually slams into this building slightly more. And then I'll just cache that as well. So one thing I got to do here. That's the balloon. I gotta set my settings on it. But one thing I got to do on this is find all the good settings. That, you know what, it might be better at default. And then I need to add some forces in here. So like I need to add a little bit of a turbulence field, and then I'll need to add a little bit of wind to help push him forward. So I'll sort of mess around with that and just find like what actually works. So I'll get this wind kind of, I guess, behind him a little bit. And then a little bit of turbulence, probably bring the scale up on that a little bit. Now let's kind of see what that's looking like. Hopefully that's looking a little bit better. If I can't get the balloon to work, then I'll turn it off. Or just find the right settings for it.
I love that bottom view where it's just like a bubble yum commercial from the 90s. Just,
yeah.
Incredible. Vivian, how's it going over there?
It's going good. I'm getting my texture to start working, and I added a ground plane just to be able to see better. And then this way you can see better how here we have where it's the yellow color, we have the snow material, and then the red is like the water material, which is more reflective. And then as well, using my vertex map for the edge, I was able to give this emissive blue kind of stroke to it. And then let me see if I can play it. If I just find a different spot for it, if I render, then you can see how it starts growing. Oh, it starts like following the shape of it. And one thing that I can show that I want to add to it is I want to kind of fake more that in the beginning my all of this part is made out of water instead of having this outer edge being yellow. I want everything to start being red and then kind of fade that off and bring on my snow. And how I would do that is by going into my vertex map, in which I have this here, and if I include a solid on top, I can kind of like make it red and put it on minimum instead of max. And how I would do that is by basically keyframing the opacity of this solid. So if I put a keyframe here and then on frame 20, for example, I turn my opacity to 0, then keyframe it again. Once I play that, it's gonna start. Let's bring this here so it's easier to see. So I'll start fading off by frame 16. And then we're gonna have like a couple frames of the material being just water. And then with time, we're gonna see that snow kind of start to form. And that's kind of the look that I wanna get. And if I go back to the beginning, and if let's see if it's gonna render so we can see, because before it looked like it had snow as well, but now it only contains water in that beginning, and that's coming from the solid that I just put in this vertex map. And if I remove it, you see how this is the result that we get. But yeah, now I want to play with, I plan on having there is this tree here in the asset browser that I want to add to my background, and it's very nice, the C4D asset browser. So if I drag this in here into my scene, they kind of already have a tree with snow, and I feel like it's gonna work nicely in my setup. So I plan on doing a camera rig that rotates around my snowman and to reveal it. And I want to put these trees all around him so that you kind of sense that parallax that's going on. So right now what I'm going to do is start working on my lighting and my camera move, and including these environment like objects to it so that it looks better than whatever I have going on currently. But that's where I'm at right now.
That's incredible.
That's incredible.
I've never used the material blender, let alone plug it into all these vertex maps. That's really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. Gonna
have to how's it going over in Krampus Town?
It's going well. It's going well. You know, kind of doing my own thing. No, it's going really well. I'm really excited about it all. Just adding a little bit of color right now. I'm actually was about ready to separate out to this part of the suit itself, just because it's like supposed to be a different color, supposed to be a little bit more fur, et cetera, et cetera. So it's actually going to be kind of coming through and tracing this area like such. And I'll give it a different color at first, and then I'll build up on top of it. A lot of times I think color kind of helps me see things a little bit more. So I could feel a little bit more like, oh, okay, that's working. Try not to commit to too much too fast. I'm still also planning on giving him a beard, so I need to work that out in a second. But yeah, not hating it at the moment. Looking pretty cool.
That's lovely. I am just working on some geometry here that I'm hoping, what my plan here is, real quick model this snowblower out of primitives.
Nice.
Actually, no, I actually got it from a whole sketch fab here from 7 Mida Art. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Nice.
And my plan here is I have this geometry of what I'm kind of imagining is, the snowblower path. I want to make some kind of like looping animation. But what I'm going to try is seeing if I can somehow animate the surface to like a surface displacement or something like that to be the thing that's actually moving on top of this snow. I don't know exactly how to do that yet, but I'm hoping to figure it out. Vivian is inspiring me with all the crazy texture things that she's doing.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's fun. Who's next? What else is going on? Let's go over to Christian. What's going on with you, man?
I want this to feel like a parade float. So I'm attaching these strings to it so that they can dangle down as if someone is pulling this float through the street. So I set those up in a similar way with these connectors, and they're only connected up here at the snowman. So they have the let's see here. So they have the rope tag on them. You can see here. I've set their stretchiness to basically 0 and their mass to basically 0, so they won't add any weight to the snowman, so it won't pull it down because of the dynamics in the scene. And that's one thing I forgot to mention was at the beginning, before I did anything on the simulation, I had to go into the scene settings and go into scene and set the gravity to 0 so that the snowman won't just fall down. So there's 0 gravity in the scene. And then these connectors are here. And so right now I'm setting their points to different parts of the snowman. I slowed down the object that was pulling the snowman through, and it seems to work a lot better now. Then I added these sweep NURBs here for the ropes, just real quick. And I can cache this and see what's going on.
Oh yeah, that's got that speed now.
I found like a better setting for the balloon. It just took a second to play with and find something that worked a lot better. Let's see here. So.
Oh yeah, look at it's got a nice flop to the scarf and the edges of the hat.
Yeah, so what I would probably do for
that's really great.
And then these ropes are kind of dangling there as if people are down there holding on to it.
That's cool.
Like a float in another Michael Keaton movie, Batman from 1989.
Oh yeah.
Or not, when was the Keaton Batman? 89, is that right?
I think you're right.
89, 85?
That's a jump.
So
89, I think.
There that it's interacting with.
Look at that.
There's a lot more Keaton in this stream than I was expecting.
Yeah. I
This
got
is
the
season.
subdivision surface here. I'm just going to turn that on. It's going to slow it down quite a bit, but it'll smooth out some of the cloth dynamics on it a little bit more, and you can see it added a good amount of smoothing to it.
Whoa.
So yeah, I'm getting there. I'm going to dial in some more settings on it and then play around with some lighting as well. What's next?
Excellent. Oh my gosh, you're already lighting. I am still trying to figure out what to do with my
The lighting is really easy here though. And I love this panel that you get over here, this asset panel. You just open it up, search for HDRI, and all I do is grab something and just pull it right in.
Yes, that'll make some of our coworkers very happy to know.
Let's see here. So I got to set up this lighting here. I just brought in a couple area lights. I'm going to try to match the lighting of the scene as well. So the light would be coming from up here somewhere. So I'm just attaching these target objects to the snowman and then finding where they would need to be in the scene. I can do a Redshift test here and see kind of where we're at.
That is lovely. And I did not think to ask earlier, and I know it's sometimes a boring question, but what types of hardware do you run over there at Perception or at home?
We've got a lot of like here at my house, I have a like 2 NVIDIA RTX Titans in my machine, and I mean, I think it's really fast. So and we have a similar setup at Perception. So like I actually work on a couple machines there at Perception as well, and they have like all kinds of like RTX stuff, like NVIDIA RTX, and it's all great. Everything is super fast. Just gonna dial in some of these lighting setups here to find what's going on.
It is fun to see that work so fast. That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And Vivian, it looked like you were previewing pretty quick when you were doing your stuff pretty interactively.
Yeah, it's been good. I'm being able to, it takes a little bit to go through the 120 frames, but I'm able to like just see very easily how my snowman is being built. And I kind of need to see my snowman building on instead of just turning the him off while working on my camera move because I want to know if I'm cropping it, like in which part of the body I'm seeing. Because in the beginning here, I kind of have it like zoomed in, and then I'm able to know where to place my camera. And basically, all that I did for this camera rig, it's super simple, and I find myself using it a lot, which is if I get rid of that, I have one camera, and then I have in my camera 2 tags, and one of them is the align to spline tag, which I go into tags, animation tags, and align to spline. And in here, I kind of have created a circle spline, and I dropped it in my spline path. And if I remove this, how do I get rid of that? Well, let's just, okay, I did it. So if I remove that path from there, my camera will be, I can move it, right? And if I drag in, I'm gonna create a new circle spline. I need to make it 90 degrees. I'm gonna make it bigger. Now, you see my camera is right here in the scene. Now, when I drag and drop my circle spline into my tag, you see how my camera just snapped where my spline is. And in this way, I am able to use this position percentage. And as I scroll, I'm able to do a 360 of my object. And that's very nice when you want to like kind of rotate around like a specific object that you have in focus. Another thing that I do alongside with the align to spline is use the target expression tag. And that kind of, if I go back to my camera here, that just, I kind of use a null. I just created a random null, like here, I just created a new null inside of my tag. If I drag and drop this new null that I just created in here, you're going to see that wherever I put it, my camera will be facing that. So that's very nice to have, because I want to like rotate around and keep the focus in my object that is in the center of my spline. And I can also show how without this tag, if I just delete it, I believe that you see how as I'm rotating this, the center of my camera, like this point here and like the where it's seeing the focus of it, it's basically like not even looking where I want it to look. And how I make that work is with the target tag that I just showed. So if I put in my null, it will automatically just lock into my object, and then I can, using a combination of like keyframe animation, then I can like create this, I don't know if it will play nice, but you can see that it's rotating around it, and at the same time it's pulling out, and you can just like create this kind of crazy look. It's annoying because I put the water material in here, and now my object is clear, but hopefully you could see that. And that's about it. That's what I've been doing over here. I think now that I added these trees in the background, I'm gonna work on my ground and try to add more displacement into it, and also my lighting to a better spot than it is right now.
That's so magical to watch.
It's just looking so great.
It's looking so great.
It really is. Let's see, Ian.
Hello.
When did you pivot to? Oh, I like it.
Oh, thank you, sir. Yeah, here's where my block out is coming.
Real quick, like a snowman in disguise, like, like wearing a fake beard.
I love it. Yeah.
Man.
I am, I promise. Real quick, I did just drop a couple links in the chat just because somebody was asking for ZBrush content, how to learn and stuff like that. We have a few different things you can learn from. We have both on our Maxon site, but one is Z Classroom, which is great for beginner projects, things that you can follow along with. Even if the project seems like it's an older version, it will still be relevant to the current version. So no worries about that. And then also a getting started series. But back to the Snowman. Yeah, this is kind of where the blackout is now at a point where I'm starting to see this character a little bit more. Just when you saw me last, I added some color here. So I actually created a mask based off that color and extracted some of the kind of fluffiness a little bit. And one of the things I want to do, and this is like a great way to just try to get some texture, is if you go into the surface noise plugin. I'm going to save real fast. It's been a while. So if I go into the surface noise plugin, I'll get a little pop-up. And what's cool about this is because it's actually utilizing the 3D mesh to see where that noise is going to be, like I don't need UVs for this. I can literally scale up some of this noise, and then I could play with the strength a little bit and kind of get a little bit of an example of like what that fluffiness could look like. But of course, this just looks a little plain. So this graph that's down here, I can actually instead come in and use this graph to get a little bit more of a specific result that I would like to see, and then play with that strength or the size level and kind of see if there's something that I like, which that's kind of cool. Maybe a little bit more on that side. And then, of course, I don't want any color information, so I'll stop that from happening. And I'll say something like, this might be pretty cool. I could go a little bit bigger, actually, say something like that. And now that I have this base here, I can actually apply this as a mask and then recenter my gizmo. And then by pressing and holding Control, I can actually inflate this to a little bit more of a fluffy, effect that I can get. And when I'm satisfied with that, I can come back in, actually, edit, copy this guy, and pick these little guys down here, repaste this information, and then just apply that. And then again, same thing. I can just go ahead and kind of push that in, give me some sculptural detail, quick, fast, and in a hurry. So that's actually what I'm doing right now.
Very nice. All right, we're zeroing in on about 15 minutes left. So
naturally, we need to see what Hashi's doing.
Yep.
So that means, I'm working on this. So I've got this very simple piece of geometry. So super, it's 64 by 64 little guys there. But I'm putting it inside of a subdivision surface right here. And so you can see that kind of just rounds it off a little bit like that. And then I have a displacer on it. And for my displacer, I went over to the shading tab and went to noise and just created a little noise. And you can sort of, mess with the scale. And one of the reasons why it's set up like this with a subdivision and then the plane and then the displacer is because if the displacer is just on this plane itself, it looks kind of like watery because it's the subdivision surface trying to divide those bumps out. But if I put it in the hierarchy just below the plane, then it's taking all of the points from the subdivided plane and moving them in a unified way instead of trying to interpolate. So that's kind of giving me what I was hoping for. I'm hoping that maybe I can do something like add a plane that is covering the ground, with a different texture. So it looks like this is the sidewalk behind him. And we do something like this. See, I need more of an orthographic view so I don't have to have so much snow. Although I actually kind of like this view, like this very desolate
I love that
thing.
Yeah.
And then the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to simulate, and then I'm going to go to emitters, add a basic emitter, and I'm going to start up my particle system here. So I'll let that get in here. Let's see. I'll move this up. It's emitting from this square right here. You can see it's just, actually, you may not be able to see. Let me turn up the preview size here. So let's go to the particle group and let's make them a little bit bigger so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. So they're emitting from this square shape. I'm going to go to the object right here and say, I might actually keep it a rectangle. I kind of like that. But I'm going to shrink the X down. I'm going to shrink the Y down. And then I'm going to see if I can do this. I'm going to try to angle it.
It's not a very efficient snowplow if it's dumping the snow forward in the path at which you are.
You know,
plowing, right?
You can mind your own business there.
Actually, it'd be funny if it was going over him, like backward and over him, and just landing right behind him.
Landing perfectly. Oh my gosh.
Yes, with no where there's no trail behind him.
So yeah, so we've got to figure this out. So what do we got here? I'm going to try to shrink down this emitter. I'm going to go to up to simulate, and I'm going to say forces and add some gravity. Ooh. And now I can tell the emitter needs some more velocity. So let's turn up the, let's see, emission. Where are we? I'm on my emitter. Start frame, continuous. First, I'll turn up the rate a little bit. So it's a lot of particles. I'm going to actually switch it from 711 particles per second to per frame. Should be able to handle this just fine. Properties, velocity. Let's turn the velocity up. There we go.
That's
okay. Fun. Let's try to find about the right amount of snow plowiness, and we'll angle the. I'll try to actually match the model to the emitter later. So there we go. We can emit some particles off to the side. I can tell the simulation object to that one of its modifiers will be to bounce.
I mean, you could set it to be going over and behind him, and you could just take the field force that you're using to plow the trail and just
undo it.
Yeah, and instead you can just make a looping video, and then it's your Christmas card.
Oh gosh. Okay, we'll see what we can do. All right, got 12 minutes left here.
12 minutes left.
Christian. Yes. How
are you right
going?
I have. Let's see here. I've started to render. I had set up some materials that were using subsurface scattering a little bit. So I just kind of went in here real quick and just updated the materials to include subsurface scattering. All I did was just bring this number up to 1, and then that gave me what I needed to make this feel like it was a float. And so now I'm just rendering, and I'm going to bring it into After Effects here in a little bit and show you guys where I'm going to get with this comp.
My gosh, it's looking so good.
Vivian, what about you? And I apologize that I keep muting you, Vivian. I think we get an echo from you. I promise it's nothing personal.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my bad. But at least you can unmute me and I'm not just talking to myself. But that works. Yeah, so now that I have like the build on of the body of my snowman, I'm just going in and doing a quick and dirty like animation on the eyes and everything to see how it's just gonna appear. So if I play that, let's see, can I scrub through it? Maybe. So like it's just gonna kind of pop on like that, and my scarf, I added that very simple cloth simulation, which I can show you guys. It's very simple. I brought it into this new scene just so it's easier to show. But I can delete my current cloth tag And I have it. Where are they? Oh, here. I have an animation on it that I need to get rid of. I pull these here. Okay, there it is.
I can't believe you're simulating the cloth to get that. So good.
So good.
All right, so we're seeing from like a weird angle, let's say here, so I wasn't worrying about the back of it. So pretend like we only see this part. And starting from here, I separated these two pieces of the scarf, and all that I have to do is go into tags, simulation tags, and go into cloth. Now in here, if I press play, what's gonna happen? It's gonna fall. And for me to avoid that, yeah, you don't want to do that. That's what happened to me the first time I tried it, and I'm like, I need to figure that one out. But what I did was, if I solo that piece, I can select, oh, it's already selected. I can select these points that will be kind of attached to the other part of my scarf. And in here in my tag, if I go into dresser and in fixed points, if I press set, now we'll hopefully automatically like kind of keep those points where they are and just simulate the rest of it. And that's
perfect.
basically like all that I've done. And besides that, I just added a collider tag. Where is it? Here into my snowman, so that once it animates, it can just hit it and kind of interact with the body. But that's basically what I've been doing. And I'm gonna also, I have this kind of look over here, and I'm also going to put it in After Effects, and I'm gonna comp it a little bit because I want my trees in the background to be a little darker, and I want to bring in more of like a nighttime look to it, and I'm gonna do that in comp, and then I can show my end result of what I have going on. Like,
all right, well, don't let us distract you. You've only got a few minutes left.
No, that's brilliant.
No, that's brilliant.
Excellent. How goes it over there, Ian?
It's going pretty well. Just gave him a little bit of a base, and then now I'm actually kind of working on how I want the patches to be. So just kind of coming through, and I gave it some wrinkles too, just really quickly thrown on there. Again, I like to work a little loosey-goosey when I'm just still kind of feeling the character out. But I'm just going to kind of put these little squares everywhere where I think there should be some sort of...
This is Ian loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
It's like, we've all seen what Hashi and I do loosey-goosey. Whereas Ian's like, I've got this thing that's absolutely production screen ready.
I wish it was, yeah. So yeah, I'm just kind of throwing these little squares out in patches, and the color is just a contrast to kind of see, like, again, if you look at a Krampus, the reference, he has all these patches and stuff. So I kind of just want to feel this out. There's other things I could do as well. I could come in here. I'll back this up for a little bit. And we can grab just like kind of a generic IMM brush. So there's a IMM half primitive. What's cool about this one is that not only are the actual IMM inserts actually half in single-sided geometry, but this one comes with a single poly. So I could literally just like kind of put these patches out and kind of throw them like, maybe something like this. But then what's really cool with this is I'm just going to go ahead and split this off into like its own little thing. So split on masked. And then there's a special brush here that is called Matchmaker. And what's cool about this is I can literally take this and kind of drag it and break everything that you see because I need to select the actual poly. There we go. Let's give it some geometry because single-sided, it's literally only 4 points. It's not really anything. So I'll divide a few times just to give it a little bit of vertices to work with. And then I'll kind of just match that. You can see there, it takes the shape of that actual patch. So if I look at this right, kind of drag that down. And of course, it's painting color, so we'll turn that off. And that will take the shape of the underlying mesh. And then that way I can kind of more fit it to what I'm looking for. Say something like that. And I can run that a few times. And then I could just start throwing that around and see what's going on. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing. Still exploring, which I'm having a lot of fun with this. So to the person who actually threw this idea out, good job. It's making me think, and I like it. It's cool. It's a fun project that I'm going to work on even after the stream.
Amazing.
Well,
so we got a couple minutes left. Hashi, go ahead.
Exactly,
Sorry.
just a couple minutes left. But yeah, I saw that I'm just pulling up the chat, and we had a couple questions. One was who or what is perception? Perception is would either of you like to take that? Christian or Vivian?
Yeah, for sure. Perception is we're a studio that focuses on a lot of screen interfaces for movies, mainly Marvel movies. There's a lot of heads-up displays that we'll do for instance, we worked on a lot of the like Guardians of the Galaxy. We did some spaceship like heads-up displays, and then we did for Wakanda Forever, we did like heads-up displays in their suits. We'll do main on-end titles for movies. So we'll do like the title sequence. And
Christian's being very humble. Yeah, Perception.
Very humble. Yeah.
They designed the Marvel logo and at the beginning of all of those movies and most of the series. It's amazing. But yeah, very, very, very cool stuff. You've seen Perception's work if you've ever seen a Marvel movie, and that's amazing. We may be on different versions of Cinema 4D. I'm using 25.11, which should be the latest release over here, I think, if I have the right shortcut in here. I'm working on this, Seth. We're kind of getting there.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I was thinking.
So I think this is where I'm going to have to leave this. I'll have to tinker with figuring out how this model is broken into pieces, how I might kind of try to render this. I could add some, I can go to my particle system and have it start emitting actually at a negative frame. So
yeah, it's smart.
It'll be ahead of this. So there we go.
It's going to be great. Christian, I'm going to jump to you. Then I want to save Vivian's for last because I see something really cool over on Vivian's screen. Then I want to save as the finale. No offense, Christian. Yours looks incredible too. I worded that horribly, so now I've just insulted you. Great. Here we go. Christian, look at this. It's so cool.
Look.
So yeah, I just added this snow layer to it with just like a basic emitter here, and then a little turbulence on it. But that'll kind of I brought everything in.
Look at that! Look at that bokeh.
Yeah, I got a bokeh on it. So it's yeah.
I love the way that the head hits the building briefly there and goes up against it.
It's perfect. It helps marry it there so well.
It's so fun. And Vivian, what's on your screen?
Magically I have a comp in here in After Effects, and I can just quickly walk through it, and then I can show my final render. I kind of changed my lighting a little bit because I wanted it to be like a moodier nighttime kind of look.
What? That's so
and
cool.
This is
Wow.
That's like my basic render from C4D. I rendered an EXR sequence, and then I kind of did some comping just to bring out just like the colors a little bit, and just quickly with some levels, and I added a heavy vignette as well, just to help focus on it. And with a lumetri color, I was able to give more of this tint, like a nighttime tint to it.
Beautiful.
And I also
Beautiful.
blurred the edges a bit, but I can just go ahead and show like the final render.
Whoa.
Which it's not something I was able to get to today in the live, but I added these particles using the mesh emitter in C4D inside of my volume masher. Like my volume masher was the source of these particles, and it kind of worked well with the water material and just having this kind of cool look from inside, and just adding more magic to what's going on.
That's so cool with little sparkles and stuff. That's so cool.
Little sparkles and stuff. That's so cool.
Yeah, so that's my snowman.
Looks great.
That's unreal, guys.
Love it.
It's like both of you and Ian. Also, this is ridiculous. Look at Ian's final. Look at this.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah. No, this is such a cool concept. So I want to explore this more. Yeah, no, this is honestly a lot of fun. So I really enjoyed it. Just I do see a question in the chat real quick, which is, what do we think is the biggest challenge part when learning ZBrush, even for those who are intermediate? And I'd have to say that honestly, the biggest part about learning ZBrush is obviously that there are a lot of features inside of it. And there's a lot of artists that actually end up picking their top 5 favorite brushes, a few features, et cetera, et cetera. What I always preach when learning ZBrush is try not to let the UI really get to you. Just kind of go in and follow a few examples that happen in the Z Classroom. And then, just explore and have fun. Like, go in there and learn what these brushes do. The biggest thing is, again, anytime there's so much thrown at you, you just kind of freak out and you're just like, I don't know what to do. But also too, it's a tool that has limitless potential for you to explore whatever design you're going for. So if you're going for characters, if you're going for environments, if you're going for jewelry, architecture, comic, whatever you're going for, just go in there, have some fun, play around and make a thing, and don't stress too much about what's going on. Just kind of explore and feel the creative juices flow a little bit. And then,
that applies to all the tools.
Absolutely. And then, and kind of just decide in what direction you're going to go. For me, my background is game props and toys and collectibles. So because of that, I learned a lot of anatomy. I learned a lot of structure. And if you go into the mindset of creation that everything has anatomy, you're going to do yourself a huge favor, because how do I make a tree? It has anatomy. Just follow it. Look at it. It's all there. Google your reference. But yeah, just have fun.
That's great. Oh, guys, what an absolute blast. Tosh, you want to take us out, man?
Absolutely. This was really, really wonderful. I was very excited when I heard that we were going to be doing this. So, yeah, we love collaborating with such talented artists and studios. And so thank you very, very much for attending this live stream where we hopefully helped inspired you. Please feel free to still download these wonderful assets here. Build your own snowman. We'd love to see it. Feel free to tag either of us in it, Maxon at Maxon VFX or at Experience Perception. And yeah, there's the link right there for that snowman kit. You can still get it, and it's probably in the description for this video. But I want to thank Christian and Vivian so much for dedicating this lovely, crunch last week of December to doing a cool live stream with us. And Ian, thank you so much for these amazing assets. They're so cool.
Yeah, well, thank you. And yeah, thank you to Perception again. It's been so much fun just sitting alongside of you working. I can't wait to do more of this in the future.
Thanks for having us. It was fun.
Absolutely. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.